Howdy, 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 my name's Ananshi and welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. The last episode was like a couple of hours ago, so I probably don't really need to recap. So we're going to start with the Fallen Angel. I'm sorry, I was not prepared for, like, just immediate Keter right out of the gate like this. SCP-861 is contained. Get out of here, Burst Bees! Man, this is about angels, not bees. Bees are lovely, but that's not what that was. SCP-861 is contained at Sector 135-861, which is located 370 meters southwest of the main site. All personnel assigned to that sector must be cleared by Protocol Narthex 861 prior to transfer. This entails a score of 83 or above on the Foundation's Standard Compliance Examination, version 4, and a passing score on 2 additional personality examinations devised by Dr. Somebody Chansey. I mean, I don't know why you had to blank out the first name. You could have just not written one, but alright. No personnel, regardless of security clearance, are allowed to be on site without Narthex approval. At least one personnel... Did I already read this one too? Because the choir event thing sounds familiar. I don't know. Let's find out. At least one personnel with Narthex approval must remain on site and within 50 meters of 861 at all times, barring choir events. No disposable dudes are allowed on site, barring those for approved testing. Of A. 861 is contained in an open 1,500-liter steel crate and housed in a 8x4x8 concrete vault. Personnel are not to make direct contact with 861. Personnel are to respect a 40-meter no-access perimeter around 861, which may only be violated for the purposes of experimentation or recovery. Level 3 or lower personnel that violate this distance for any reason are to be administered Class A amnestics. The containment chamber must be opened immediately during a choir event, and the provoking subject should be subdued to expedite completion of the event. The resulting entity is then to be terminated. See document NAVE 861 for details. Following the event, personnel are to return to 861 to its crate via electronic suction. Only security and mobile task force personnel with clearance 4/Narthex will be employed in termination and recovery. So what this sounded like it was going to be was, I seem to recall there being a different angel where the wings were some sort of steel and really deadly, but it really just wanted to be left alone. But I see that the opening sentence of its description is that it's a mass of liquid, so it's probably not that. I thought it was going to be when it said choir event, but maybe it's something else similar to what I'm thinking of. Maybe I dreamed that. I hope I didn't dream that, because if my dreams are like that, I need to stop eating sugar before bed. SCP-861 is an 1,170-liter mass of liquid superficially resembling water with a fixed temperature of 27 degrees centigrade. Any amount of the material that is forcibly displaced from the central mass will dissipate, and 861 will generate an equal amount of new material to replace this loss. It continually emits a flame of variable color, generally a violet or indigo. This flame generates no identified heat and is non-hazardous to contact. This mass is capable of locomotion, through an unidentified process, and is capable of scaling any surface at an observed maximum speed of 47 kilometers per hour. It gravitates towards the presence of human beings at a distance of approximately 50 meters or closer, being sufficient to determine presence. If while traveling it is obstructed, it will increase in mass until said obstruction is destroyed by the exerted pressure. It will return to its normal size shortly thereafter. So if it's hurtling towards a human, and there's a trash can in the way, and it hits the trash can, and the trash can's like, nah man, I'm staying right here, it'll be like, ha ha ha, and then expand, and then destroy it, and be like, alright, cool, and then shrink back down and keep moving. Trash cans beware. Human beings with a radius of roughly 30 meters surrounding 861 report hearing a continuous vocalization, producing a song in an unknown language. No physical acoustic component to this phenomenon has been detected. The vocalization is described by subjects as a vaguely human voice of an indeterminate gender. A complete phonetic transcript of the song has been documented with an approximate duration of 7 minutes and 45 seconds. Subjects exposed to 861 will allege that they understand fragments of the lyrics, but will deny any familiarity with the language. The quantity of song material understood, as well as its placement within the overall composition, vary wildly from subject to subject. A compilation of blank 100 tests indicate a correlation between subjects with certain prominent character traits, including kindness, patience, and humility, and song comprehension. So, personality, song. These subjects demonstrated a comprehension percentage as high as 89%, allowing for blank point blank percent of the song to be translated. See document Transept 861 for details. Is that here? Yes. 861 will demonstrate a reaction to certain subjects that has since been designated as a choir event. These individuals appear to possess cruel and arrogant character traits, ostensibly the antithesis of the trait required for song comprehension. Though data in this area is limited due to hostility from 861, subjects capable of provoking a choir event describe the entity's song as entirely incomprehensible. The psychological threshold for provoking a choir event has not been entirely determined, but appears to be sensitive. Choir events consist of 861 advancing upon the subject and forcing itself inside their body using various orifices as access points. Does it use pores? Because nothing ever uses pores. They always just go for the nose and the mouth and the ears and sometimes the eyes for some reason. But you never hear of anything using pores because, I mean, technically those count. They probably don't. I'm still not a scientist. That's never going to change. It should be noted that termination of the subject will not prevent 861's reactions or the completion of the event. So, if they're dead, it'll just keep happening. Once this is complete, data expunged, various forms designated A. Observed forms include a vaguely humanoid entity with elongated arms, underdeveloped legs terminating in crude tendrils, and a quasi-prehensile elongated neck. Yeah. A cluster of Ophidian entities, each roughly 50 centimeters in length. Each entity possessed a head resembling that of a humanoid infant. A humanoid soldier, I thought that said spider, possibly of a 4th or 5th century Anatolian origin. Data expunged consistent with extra-dimensional origin. Destruction of entity resulted in a destruction of 15% of Sector 135861, and the creation of a spatial anomaly which deteriorated 45 hours after onset. Okie dokie. Regardless of its current shape, A emits a flame similar to that of its resting state, but in a white or golden hue. The entity will attempt to eject this flame at any human target in the vicinity. Upon contact, that target will become engulfed in the flames and be rendered completely unresponsive, but will stand with their eyes closed for as long as they are physically able. Unlike 861's normal flames, however, the subject will burn over a period of 2 to 3 hours. Flames produced by burning human organic material will reproduce the song. Subjects exposed to the song in this state will demonstrate comprehension based on previously stated factors. Normally produced by 861 at rest, though at a different pitch, how this occurs is unknown. The flames ejected by A will quickly dissipate if they do not reach a human target, and do not appear to ignite any substance other than living human beings. After any A entity is terminated, its body will exude 861, which will return to a resting state. Addendum 861-1, document Transept 861, clearance 4861 required. Sure, why not? The following is an excerpt from the translated transcript of 861's song. 3 rings yet one in the same. We are wheels which serve the rings. Born of flame made only to serve, yet that right is more than our worth. A hypothetical link between 861's origins and the blank class of blank, not the blank class of blank, the blank class of redacted, has been proposed. This is supported by forms observed by choir events. During choir events, blank and message 861 blank, see below. However, so long as current protocols remain sufficient, the Abrahamic properties of 861 have been deemed unnecessary information in regards to containment teams. As such, the theological procedures involved in the determination of A instances, Protocol 861 Knave, have been reserved for Level 4 security personnel at Sector 135861. On blank 19-something and blank 2000-something, 2 additional entities now designated blank and blank, with marked similarities to 861 were discovered in blank Italy and blank Brazil, respectively. These entities have been contained in the same manner as 861 at Site blank and Site blank. The appearance of these entities correlates with the timeline of XK blank as depicted in 861's song. Level 3 and lower personnel are to be misdirected to believe that 861 is a unique entity. Is this related to one of the various apocalypses? This feels like it's related to one of the various apocalypses. Apocalypse, whatever. On blank 2000-something, at 2:34 in the morning, a transmission was received by Outpost blank. The transmission was 1 minute 36 seconds long and consisted of a female voice speaking in Latin. Extensive analysis has determined a connection between this voice and Emma Blank, a D-class personnel subjected to a choir event 27 hours previously. Said event was the most destructive on record, producing blank fatalities. It was determined that Outpost Blank had received the message from Sector 135861, Site Blank, and Site Blank simultaneously. However, no evidence was discovered that any such messages had been sent. This is a translated transcript of Message 861 Blank. The proud do not burn in rage because we command it. The proud, blind as they are, refuse to see the light that shines infinitely brighter than theirs. We are vessels of that light, and for those that cannot see, we will make them feel. It is not our wish that the innocent perish in the rage of the proud, but the pain of the guilty does not open eyes. You hold us because we allow it, and we wait because it has been willed. However, do not wait to lift the veil, for we shall only wait until the last of our brethren have descended, and only a few remain. The known translated transcript of 861's song, as well as the songs produced by 861 Blank and Blank, have been transferred to document Blank 861 Clearance 5 required. Let's see. Musical, religious, SCP self-replicating, K-class, co-authored, ectoentropic, fire, hallucination. It doesn't look like it's related to one of the apocalypses, but it certainly sounds like it. And now for rats, which are safe and not alive. A 6 or they probably are alive. They just don't look get out of here. In order to prevent escape and sightings of one, the interior of the bunker is to be monitored by researchers via cameras placed inside the bunker outside of 862's sphere of influence. The bunker is to be checked daily for breaches or escape instances of one. In the event of a bunker breach, the ruptures to be immediately sealed with concrete and cement. Are those not the same thing? Okay. Any escaped instances of one are to be tracked and destroyed by Mobile Task Force Beta 23, the Rat Trappers. No materials or individuals are to enter 862. 862 is an area spanning, as opposed to 682, an area spanning 10 square meters located in the city of Blank Blank. This area possesses a sphere of influence that affects all materials. Upon arriving in 862, materials will begin to split into portions of 25 square centimeters. Over a period of time that varies depending on the consistency of the material, the affected portion will assume the shape and detail of Rattus norvegicus, the common rat. The affected portion will be dormant for a much shorter length of time before animating and assuming the behavior of said rat. Affected portions will hereafter be referred to as one. Instances of one do not require food or water, but exhibit the same properties as the material they are composed of, and the rate of decomposition is unaffected in the organic materials. Due to their composition, some instances of one are difficult to destroy, but liquid or gas instances can be destroyed with extremely light impact, so just backhand the gas rat. Solid instances of one can register pain and survive trauma far exceeding that of regular rats, such as loss of limbs, heavy trauma, and dissection. Over blank thousand instances of one are currently present in the containment bunker, which include, but are not limited to, blank instances of concrete. Okay, so there's just concrete, cement, tarmac, glass, wood, plastic, metal, water, instances of remains of the recovery team uniforms, weapons, and ammunition of recovery team. One are instances composed of air are regularly created but are destroyed near instantly as they collapse when exposed to the slightest pressure. So, look, it's an air rat! Oh no, gravity! It's gone. Okay. So there's just a sphere of influence where everything in that sphere and that area of the world just turns into rats. And that's safe. Okay, now it's time for the other animal of the entry, the patchwork crabs, which is also safe. I can only assume that it just makes pieces of itself out of other things that are not what crabs do. SCP-863-1 is to be contained in a 2x2 meter enclosure and provided with nutrition, as detailed in Nutritional Chart 86311. Due to its low risk of breach and containment, 1 is to be kept under guard by 1 member of security. In the event of limb loss, 1 is to be provided with a replacement from a similarly proportioned crab. 2 is to be contained in a 6x6 meter enclosure and provided with nutrition as detailed by Chart 2-1. 2 is to be kept under guard by 2 members of security. In the event of limb loss, 2 is to be provided with a suitable replacement. 3 is to be contained in a 10 by 10 meter enclosure and provided with nutrition via robotic arm as detailed in Chart 3-1. 3 is to be kept under guard by 6 members of security at all times. No personnel to enter 3's containment chamber, enclosure, whatever. In the event of limb loss, 3 is to be provided with a cadaver as replacement. Any specimens of 863 found in the wild are to be destroyed. SCP-863 is a species of crab commonly found in areas of blank. The specimens, when first born, roughly measure 3 centimeters in height and 1 gram in weight, but are capable of growing up to sizes of data expunged. When fully grown, specimens superficially resemble the Japanese spider crab. Specimens of 863 are born without limbs and undergo a process in which they utilize the limbs of other organisms, or even whole organisms in lieu of their own. From birth, 863 move themselves across the ground by sliding using several tendrils attached to their limb joints. When specimens locate a suitably sized limb or organism, they will puncture it using their tendrils, which will then retract and slot the organism or limb into the said limb joint. Using a series of electrical pulses, it will then manipulate the limb or organism's nervous system. This process is not perfect, and the utilized limb or organism will typically jerk or twitch periodically. Specimens of 863 are highly territorial, and larger specimens can cause severe injuries or death when provoked. Groups of 863 have been observed to, on occasion, actively hunt for other organisms to remove limbs from. Larger specimens will simply utilize these organisms wholesale, as their limbs would not be suitable for specimens of that size. Specimen log. 1. Right arm is a pincer from Carpilius convexus, and left arm is a pincer from the Renina renina. The legs are 4 legs from a Cilioparagurus and 2 from a Renina renina. Okay. 2. Right arm awaiting replacement, left arm human hand taken from a cadaver. Legs 2 hooves from a mountain goat, 3 from a dog, and 1 arm from a bear. 3. A human cadaver, left arm blank blank, life signs normal, see containment breach 1. Legs 6 legs taken from human cadavers. What is the left leg a person? Just like straight up a person? Why are life signs normal if the... Okay. Efficient wash basin. It's Euclid and it... tentacles. A64 is to be held in a standard containment chamber located in Site 77's Euclid SCP wing. The chamber is to be kept devoid of any moisture and inspected once a day to check the seal. During testing, no personnel are to enter the testing area. In the event that articles of clothing manifest, they are to be stored as non-anomalous artifacts. Description: 864 is a 20 centimeter tall wash basin with a 10 centimeter radius composed of red metal commonly found in wash basins. The words "Made in China" and "Cherry Imperial Golf Applications" are imprinted on the bottom with black ink. No company of that name is found anywhere in China. When SCP-864 contains at least 200 milliliters of water, it will manifest an instance of 1. Instances of 1 designates a series of appendages which have appeared from 864. Instances of 1 may attempt to seize a human subject within their reach and violently pull them into 864. Instances of 1 do not always attempt to take the subjects, with tests showing that the majority of 1 instances will make no attempt to attack human subjects. No subjects taken through 864 have been recovered. Instances of 1 have known to have manifested include 4 human arms, estimated to be 60 centimeters long, lurched after a disposable dude but were not able to catch him, retreated into 864 after being engaged by 4 security personnel. Humanoid appendages resembling 1193 did not respond to stimuli and withdrew during 1193's next activation event. 7 black cephalic tentacles, approximately 90 centimeters long and about 10 centimeters in diameter at the base, attempted to push 864 on its side and take several articles of clothing left in the testing chamber, and since demanifested on its own. 3 dark green crustacean pincers, estimated to be 70 centimeters long, attempted to drown a disposable dude until supervising guards managed to free her. Okay, do that. And since retreated after being engaged by Agent Boyd. 6 segmented mechanical claws, approximately a meter in length, seized a disposable person and a guard trying to pry the arm loose. Instances folded into 864. 3 red octopus tentacles, estimated to be 3 meters in length, attempted to seize a disposable person, but 1 instance was severed by a guard with a knife. The 2 other instances retreated, and the severed portion showed no anomalous properties. Testing has shown that 864 extends a distance of 2 kilometers when manifesting an instance of 1, after which it terminates into a steel hatch with the words Black Dragon co-embossed in it. Robotic drones sent inside of 864 found that, while active, the interior is composed entirely of 1 instances handling various garments. As of January 16, 2013, approximately 11% of these have been identified as originating from Earth. Of those, only 32 appear to originate from after 1900. Okay, I'm not sure I understand how that's an efficient wash basin. It doesn't sound like it's actually washed anything, it just keeps trying to steal people. The Gentleman's Lash. It's safe, but that's a gun. 865 is to be kept unloaded in a locked firearms safe in the secure archive room at Site-73. SCP-865 is to be equipped with a trigger lock when not being tested, and is to be marked with a tag indicating that it is non-functional and not to be deployed in case of emergency. As of blank 2000-something, all test firings of 865 are to be conducted by and on disposable dudes only. With other staff, no other staff are to be within visual range of 865 during testing. Disposable dudes involved in testing are to be fitted with explosive collars and informed that any attempts at disobedience or resistance will result in summary termination. Summary termination? 685 is to be disassembled, cleaned, and reassembled before and after testing by a staff member trained in firearms maintenance. All test subjects are to be debriefed and monitored for lasting psychological effects. Description: SCP-865 is a handgun of unknown make, superficially similar to an SIG Sauer Piece 226 of the type manufactured after 1996, and bearing no identifying marks. It can be disassembled, cleaned, and reassembled in the same manner as a normal pistol of its type. Several circuit boards and microprocessors have been incorporated into the grip. The purpose of these devices is not fully understood at this time. 865 is capable of chambering any round compatible with the P226 and is compatible with standard size and extended length magazines. When fired, it produces a muffled report similar to that made by a firearm with a suppressor attached, and a shell casing is ejected from the weapon side. The bullet itself is not ejected from the barrel. High-speed photography has indicated that only trace amounts of powder and steam are emitted when it is fired. Attempts to determine what happens to the bullet when it is fired have yielded no results. When fired into the air at inanimate objects or at non-human animals, 865 presents no anomalous effects. When fired at a human being, the target immediately reacts as if the body part 865 was aimed at when fired were intense pain. The test subjects have claimed detailed memories of suffering a severe accidental injury to the targeted body part and will behave at all times as if the memory is factual, up to and including memory of conditions associated with paraplegia, amputation, infection, or brain damage. Physical examination of test subjects indicates that no physical change occurs in body parts that it has been fired at. To date, no fatalities have resulted from 865 testing. When fired at oneself, 865 has no effect other than inflicting burns due to unignited gunpowder. 865 was acquired by the Foundation on blank 2000-something during a raid on a warehouse owned by a front company associated with Marshall Carter and Dark Limited. 865 was found in a glass display case with a paper containing the following copy, believing to have been written as an advertisement. The end result of over 17 years of research and development, the MCD-226 BPD represents the ultimate and non-lethal discipline for the discreet gentleman who expects the most from his subordinates. Each round fired from this handcrafted, custom-made device is capable of transmitting up to 7.3 kilosades of psychological trauma to the target, and is 100% guaranteed to leave no incriminating wounds, bruises, or scars. For your convenience, the MCD-226 BPD may be loaded with any standard ammunition for weapon of its type, or with our custom-made MCD BPD ammunition, item number 2301943-581-3, sold separately. For best results and seamless shell disposal. A wide variety of customization options are available. Consult one of our client satisfaction specialists to help create the model that best fits your style and demeanor. It is unknown at this time whether 865 is a prototype or whether other devices of its type have been developed and distributed by Marshall Carter and Dark to date. So there's an experiment log, we don't really need to see that, and there's also an addendum. On blank 2000-something, 2 days after the series of tests described above, Dr. Everly reported to the Site-73 infirmary, reporting that she had discovered a large scar on her abdomen that she did not recall requiring. Dr. Anderson identified the mark as a cesarean section scar. At an examination of Dr. Everly's records indicated that she had undergone a C-section in 1998, and that her child had died of a congenital defect 6 hours after delivery. Dr. Everly denied undergoing a C-section and has stated that she has never been pregnant. It appears that 865 has an effect on the user that is inversely related to its effect on the target. It erases traumatic memories in the person pulling the trigger and inflicts new ones on its target. In light of this discovery, I recommend that any further testing be conducted by D-Class. We can't afford to have good people losing their minds over this thing. Dr. S. Samesh. Request granted 05 blank. Okay, so, even though I'm not really going to look into the experiment log because I don't really feel like we need to, it sounds like Dr. Anderson was probably the one shooting at the disposable dudes and using it to inflict the, it's probably the Marshall Carter Dark 226 bipolar disorder gun. It's probably what that is. It sounds like what it is when you use the gun to make people have bipolar disorder about injuries they do not actually have, it makes people that actually have bipolar disorder for things forget the things. Not bipolar disorder, the other one. I'm thinking PTSD. Never mind. But I was thinking PTSD, and it sounds like she probably had that due to the whole C-section and then the baby dying immediately afterwards, and then forgot about it. So, that seems like a useful gun for people like the Foundation who would need a gun that can do these things. But in any case, that about does it for this episode of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. In the next episode, we're going to check out a supercomputer, a blood spruce, I want to say mnemonic meme? Mnemonic, whatever. Summer of 48, and the maybe there monsters. Sounds like it's going to be a weird episode, but it also sounds like it's finally an episode that doesn't have bugs or weird animals in it. Cool! So, if you liked it, a like and subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you need to do either one of those things, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later!